The 2023 Seattle Mariners have made zero sense at all. Or have they? Coming into the new season, the air around the Mariners was filled with excitement and lofty expectations. With dreams of overtaking the Astros this year as our young talent develops and core grows stronger, the Mariners really haven't hit the mark. A bright spot that had been very on point, though, was the pitching staff. Something we all could have seen from a mile away. Hell, I made a video about the rotation specifically before the playoffs were even finished. In 2023, the Mariners pitching staff as a whole has been lights out. Leading the league in pitching WAR for a long while to start the season is no easy feat. With great starts bunched together from the youngins on the staff, George Kirby and Bryce Miller, the Mariners really hadn't felt the absence of a former Cy Young winner, Robbie Ray. You'd think having a veteran leader like Ray hit the shelf would hamper your performance as a team in that department, and pairing that with Luis Castillo having a pretty rough May, the pitching staff, we weren't really sure. But the Mariners really don't like following the rules. The pitching lab is simply too good. Somehow, someway, the team always manages to find diamonds in the rough, specifically in the bullpen. Some of the standout arms in the pen this year have been guys most teams would toss aside. The Mariners again have found great success bargain bin diving with arms like Gabe Spire, Justin Topa, and the first big offseason signing, Trevor Gott. With flamethrower and stopper Andres Munoz on the mend, those guys had been essential to the success of our pitching staff. These clearance finds have made the front office look like they've done it again. Chills. With Munoz back throwing gas and Murphy hopefully not being out too much longer after making his return against the Angels, the bullpen should be even more stable than it already has been. A place where they really have faltered, though, lies within the black holes of the lineup. Going into the offseason, the biggest needs many Mariners fans wanted the team to address was a corner outfield spot and second base. The latter has been the main issue, it seems. Fans have come to terms with the idea of the rotating DH, and even though it may not work out all the time, we are more okay with that than a traditionally poor offensive position around the MLB. There are outliers to this at second base, but since Robbie Cano left, we haven't had someone at second base that could hit water if they fell out of a boat. Or, in a more appropriate wording, they just really haven't lived up to expectations. We all know Wong is miraculously having his worst season in his career, with Moore just now making his return from the IL, and our thorn in the side hero, Jose Caballero, coming out of the woodwork. Wong doesn't really have a role on this team until he proves otherwise. Caballero has been a very productive spot in the lineup when he gets his chances. With just over 100 Major League plate appearances, it does seem though that management is still hesitant to go all in on Cabby for whatever reason. Whether that's the desire for Wong to produce or more to get back on his feet, for the time being we've got a three-man rotation at second base it seems. The emergence of Cabby really flipped the tale of second base on its head, and albeit getting this production is a good thing, the questioning of the front office continues to persist. Jerry DiPoto has said countless times that he is responsible for the roster construction at the end of the day in terms of the offseason acquisitions. It doesn't make any sense that every guy that has been brought in magically is now having a downfall that needs to be studied. Did we expect AJ Pollock to turn into a toddler against left-handed pitching? Of course not. And as it stands, Pollock is our fourth outfielder slash, DH spot. It's fine for me. Of course, it's not perfect. If it were, that would make too much sense. Initially, the reaction was that it was the optimal signing for how our team typically operates. A right-handed bat to pair with JK in left field should Jared not find his groove. Luckily for us, Jared had a phenomenal April and saw his role grow immediately and ultimately reduce Pollock's right away. Now that we are in June, Kelenic has come down to earth, which makes all the sense in the world. These guys are going to have ups and downs. It's a long, grueling season that will likely be littered with injuries, call-ups, options, trades, ejections, and lots of base running mistakes. Mariners, what are we doing on the base pass? Is Negron giving you like drunk goggles over there or something? We need to figure it out. But seriously, the constant base running blunders have been this team's bread and butter, and it is infuriating to the max. Guys that are hotter than the sun right now, like Teo and Ty, getting picked off at first, or Teo trying to stretch a single into a double when he most definitely shouldn't, is such a head-scratching experience. I will forgive them, because I'm a bootlicker, since they are both hitting super well right now. Julio as well. And getting three key bats all working in cohesion is a great way to get the offense going and potentially represent Seattle at the All-Star game this year. Don't forget to vote at MLB.com/vote, and also gear up with Simply Seattle's latest drop celebrating the Midsummer Classic coming to our home at T-Mobile Park. Use the link in the description down below to head over to simplyseattle.com and use code MOJO10 at checkout for 10% off of your order. After an abysmal April, things started to look a lot better as May rolled around. Some guys leveled out, but the bats we had been missing the most started to catch some barrels. Now into June, it seems as though there isn't that same bite in the offense like in May. The three aforementioned players are still hitting well, but the big hit from someone else hasn't come through. In the Saturday win against the Angels, there were plenty of hits to go around. The other two games in that series, though, the losses, that string of hits never came to fruition. There were moments like the top of the ninth against Estevez where AAA merchant Mike Ford hit a solo shot to bring us within one, and our 9-hole hitter Cabby finds a way to get into scoring position with no outs. Yet, we come up short with the three guys you want batting, with a speedy guy a single away from tying the game. In the final game, one where we moved Logan Gilbert up a spot to give Bryce Miller an extra day of rest, one where we needed Walter to come up big for us, he faltered. 3 innings and 6 earned won't cut it, and he knows that. But as the Mariners have done at times, they clawed their way back. With the bases loaded and no outs, down by 4 in the top of the 7th, there was a glimmer of hope, and that this could be a turning point. Mr. Droughtbuster himself is up first with the bags packed, and he hits a looping fly ball to left, which Taylor Ward covers great ground for to make the play. A play with a 30% catch probability. Cal comes up short. Gino hits a sac fly, but one would be all they got. This makes sense in the minds of Mariners fans. The bases being loaded is a load of barnacles to us. Now, I mentioned at the top of the video that the pitching staff had been good. Another injury surfaced, and the Bulldog Marco Gonzalez has been out for 2 weeks and will be out likely until July. Brian Wu, another pretty quick call-up to the bigs, had his second start go pretty well against the Angels, but made his debut against the Rangers and ended his first start after only 2 innings and a 27 ERA. Previous to this, the Mariners had given up 10 runs to the Yankees in 2 out of the 3 games. They did the same against the Rangers, and when they split with the Padres, you guessed it, gave up 10 runs in one of those games as well. No starting pitcher has been safe for the Seattle Mariners ever since their bats seemingly woke up. They've been the worst pitching staff in baseball in terms of ERA since May 26th. Believe it or not, that's not good. And that was me on Monday, before the Marlins series kicked off, before our starting pitchers Bryce Miller and George Kirby went out there and threw both really great starts back to back. Castillo, I'm halfway through the 3rd game right now. Not too terrible of a start, but we are down 2-0 at the time of me recording this. It just goes to show, like I was saying, it's just baseball. The offense, was awake and alive, hard and heavy in games 1 and 2, and the Marine layer just happened to pull out all its stops in game 3 so far. Now let's go back to past me. But that's baseball. You can go from the best in the world at something to the absolute worst in the blink of an eye. It's not fair and oftentimes makes no sense at all. The easiest way for the Mariners to right this ship would be to find some equilibrium as a team. Get both the pitching staff sorted and keep the bats producing, and theoretically, the team can start the dog days of summer off on the right foot. Julio will undoubtedly be the catalyst for this team when it's all said and done. Here's a video on why it was only a matter of time for Julio to get his bat going. On board with moving out of the leadoff spot. He said that he's the type of guy that he started hitting leadoff last year because it was the best thing for the team, and now if 6 is the best thing for the team, that's where he's going to be hitting.